Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that many of us struggle with: being too friendly. While kindness and warmth are important, there is a fine line between being approachable and being taken for granted. If we are too friendly, we may find ourselves disrespected, unheard, or even manipulated. Now, don't get me wrong, friendliness is a strength, but when it goes unchecked, it can turn into people-pleasing, lack of boundaries, and loss of self-respect. The truth is, not everyone deserves your kindness in excess. In this world, you must balance being kind with being firm, being friendly with being respected. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with being too friendly is that they lack clear and firm boundaries. Many of us were raised to believe that being kind means always being available, always saying yes, and always accommodating others. However, when friendliness comes at the cost of our personal space, mental peace, and self-respect, it stops being a strength and becomes a weakness. Setting boundaries is about knowing your limits and making sure others respect them. This means identifying what you are comfortable with and what you are not. It means understanding where to draw the line between being helpful and being taken for granted. It is not about being rude or unkind, but rather about valuing yourself enough to say, "This is what I can do and this is where I stop." For example, if someone constantly asks you for favors and you always say yes because you don't want to seem rude, you are setting a pattern. They learn that they can depend on you without limits, and over time, they may start expecting you to put their needs above your own. However, if you establish a boundary and say, "I would love to help, but I can't this time," you teach people that while you are kind, you are not someone they can take advantage of. Another key aspect of setting boundaries is sticking to them. Many people set boundaries, but the moment they face resistance or pushback, they give in. This sends the message that their boundaries are flexible and others will continue to test them. If you tell someone that you don't answer work calls after a certain time, but then you pick up the phone when they call at midnight, you are showing them that your boundary is not firm. Boundaries only work when they are consistently enforced. Additionally, setting boundaries also involves being selective with your time and energy. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. Being friendly does not mean you have to be available 24/7 or that you must accommodate everyone's needs before your own. Your time is valuable, and you should be intentional about how and with whom you spend it. If you always prioritize others and neglect yourself, you will eventually feel exhausted, resentful, and underappreciated. It's also important to remember that setting boundaries doesn't require an explanation or apology. Many people feel guilty when they say no or when they refuse to do something for someone. However, you don't owe anyone an elaborate justification for protecting your own well-being. Saying "I can't" or "I'm not comfortable with that" is enough. A person who truly respects you will understand and accept your boundaries without guilt-tripping or manipulation. Lastly, setting boundaries improves not only your personal life but also your professional and social relationships. In the workplace, people who set boundaries are often more respected. They are seen as confident, decisive, and self-assured. In friendships and family relationships, boundaries help prevent resentment and ensure mutual respect. When you have strong boundaries, you teach people how to treat you, and you create healthier, more balanced relationships. One of the biggest traps people fall into when they're too friendly is constantly seeking approval from others. It's natural to want to be liked, But when your self-worth depends on how others perceive you, you give away control over your happiness and confidence. You start shaping your actions, words, and even personality to fit what others expect rather than being true to yourself. The problem with seeking approval is that it often leads to people-pleasing behavior. You find yourself saying yes when you want to say no, agreeing with opinions you don't believe in, or going out of your way to make sure everyone around you is comfortable even at your own expense. Over time, this becomes exhausting and leads to frustration because no matter how much you try to please everyone, someone will always find something to criticize. Think about it, when you constantly seek approval, you give people power over you. Their opinions dictate how you feel about yourself. If they praise you, you feel good. If they criticize you, you feel unworthy. This is an unhealthy cycle because it means your confidence is always dependent on external validation rather than coming from within. The truth is, no matter how kind, friendly or accommodating you are, you will never be able to please everyone. There will always be people who disagree with you, dislike you for no reason, or take advantage of your need for validation. Another downside of approval seeking is that it makes you appear less confident. People can sense when someone is desperate to be liked, and ironically, this often leads to them respecting you less. Those who are truly admired and respected are not the ones who bend over backward for approval, but the ones who stand firm in their beliefs, values, and self-worth. Confidence is magnetic, it draws people in, whereas approval-seeking behavior can push people away. To stop seeking approval from everyone, you must first understand that your value is not determined by other people's opinions. You are not defined by how much people like you or how often they agree with you. Your worth is based on your own self-respect, integrity, and confidence in who you are. Instead of asking, "Do they like me?" start asking, "Do I like myself? Am I staying true to what I believe?" You also need to learn to be comfortable with disagreement and criticism. Not everyone will agree with your choices, and that's okay. If someone doesn't like you because you set boundaries or because you choose to prioritize yourself, that is their problem, not yours. The more you accept that you don't need everyone's approval, the more empowered and free you will feel. Lastly, remind yourself that seeking approval is not the same as earning respect. You don't gain respect by trying to please everyone, you gain it by being authentic, standing by your values, and not being afraid to be different. True confidence comes from within, and when you let go of the need for constant approval, you take back control of your own happiness and self-worth. One of the biggest dangers of being too friendly is that it makes you an easy target for those who want to take advantage of you. While kindness is a wonderful trait, not everyone will appreciate it with good intentions. Some people see kindness as weakness and will exploit your generosity, patience, and willingness to help. This is why it is crucial to recognize when someone is using your friendliness for their own benefit. People who take advantage of others often do so in subtle ways. It may start with small favors asking you to cover for them, borrow money, or handle responsibilities they don't want to deal with. At first, you may not think much of it because you want to be helpful, but over time the requests become more frequent and you begin to notice a pattern. They only come to you when they need something. They never reciprocate the same kindness, and they rarely check in on you unless it benefits them. This is a clear sign that they're using you rather than valuing you. Another red flag is when people make you feel guilty for saying no. When someone truly respects you, they understand and accept your limits. However, those who take advantage of others will often try to manipulate you by making you feel bad for setting boundaries. They might say things like, "I thought you were a good friend," or "You used to be so helpful, what happened?" These guilt-tripping tactics are designed to pressure you into doing things for them even when you don't want to. It's also important to watch for one-sided relationships. If you're always the one making sacrifices, always the one giving and never the one receiving, then you are not in a healthy relationship, you are being used. True friendships and partnerships are built on mutual respect and reciprocity. You shouldn't have to constantly prove your worth by going out of your way for people who wouldn't do the same for you. One way to test whether someone truly values you or is simply using you is to stop being so readily available and see how they react. If they disappear when you stop doing things for them, that's a clear sign that they were never really your friend, they were just there for what you could offer. People who genuinely care about you will still be there even when you're not constantly catering to their needs. You also need to be aware of people who only reach out when they need something. If someone never checks in on you, never asks how you're doing, but suddenly appears when they need a favor, you should question their intentions. A real friend or colleague values you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. To stop people from taking advantage of you, you must be firm in your boundaries and not be afraid to say no. The more you allow yourself to be used, the more people will continue to do it. When you recognize manipulation tactics, guilt-tripping, and one-sided relationships, you can protect yourself from those who only see you as a means to an end. Being kind does not mean being a doormat. Learning to spot these signs early will save you from frustration, exhaustion, and emotional pain in the long run. One of the biggest reasons people remain stuck in the cycle of being too friendly is because they are afraid to speak up. They worry that asserting themselves will make them seem rude, mean, or unlikable. But in reality, failing to speak up often leads to being overlooked, underestimated, and even taken for granted. If you don't communicate your needs, preferences, and opinions clearly, people will assume that you are okay with anything, then that is where the problem begins. Being assertive does not mean being aggressive or disrespectful. It means standing up for yourself while maintaining respect for others. It is about having the confidence to express what you truly think and feel without fear of judgment or rejection. Many people mistakenly believe that silence is a form of kindness, but in reality, it often leads to resentment and frustration because your thoughts and feelings remain unheard. If you don't speak up, people won't know when they've crossed a line. Imagine being in a workplace where your colleagues constantly interrupt you during meetings, take credit for your ideas, or pile extra work on you because they know you won't complain. If you never address these issues, they will continue to happen, and over time you may start feeling frustrated, undervalued, and exhausted. But if you assert yourself and address these behaviors directly yet professionally, you send a message that you will not tolerate being treated unfairly. The same applies to personal relationships. If a friend constantly makes jokes at your expense, but you never say anything, they will assume you're okay with it. If a family member repeatedly dismisses your opinions, but you stay silent, they will never take you seriously. Speaking up is not about creating conflict, it's about making sure people understand your limits, values, and expectations. A key part of assertiveness is using clear and direct communication. Many people struggle with this because they feel uncomfortable being straightforward. They soften their words, hesitate too much, or avoid getting to the point. But vague communication only creates confusion. Instead of saying, I guess I could do it, but I'm a little busy, say, I can't take on more work right now. Instead of saying, I don't really like when you do that, say, I need you to stop doing that because it makes me uncomfortable. Being direct does not mean being rude, it means being confident and clear. Another important aspect of assertiveness is body language and tone. If your words say one thing but your body language shows hesitation, people will pick up on that. Stand tall, make eye contact, and speak with a steady, calm tone. Avoid nervous laughter, fidgeting, or looking away when making a serious point. The way you present yourself plays a huge role in how people respond to you. It's also important to practice saying no without guilt. Many overly friendly people struggle with this because they feel obligated to please others, but saying no does not make you a bad person. It simply means that you are respecting your own limits. You don't have to explain yourself excessively sometimes. A simple, "No, I can't do that," is enough. At first, speaking up and being assertive may feel uncomfortable, especially if you are used to staying quiet to avoid conflict. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Over time, you will notice that people start treating you with more respect. They will listen when you talk, take your opinion seriously, and think twice before overstepping your boundaries. Remember, your voice matters. If you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. Being assertive is one of the most powerful ways to balance friendliness with self-respect, ensuring that people see you as both kind and strong. One of the biggest challenges for people who are too friendly is that they often put everyone else's needs ahead of their own. They give their time, energy, and emotional support to others without hesitation, but struggle to do the same for themselves. While generosity and kindness are beautiful qualities, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you constantly prioritize others at your own expense, you will eventually feel drained, unappreciated, and even resentful. Many people feel guilty about prioritizing themselves because they believe it's selfish. However, self-care is not selfish, it is necessary. Just as you would recharge a phone when the battery is low, you need to recharge yourself too. If you don't, you will burn out. And when that happens, you won't be able to help anyone, including yourself. Taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical well-being allows you to be a better friend, employee, partner, and person overall. One of the key ways to prioritize yourself is by setting aside time for yourself every day. Too often people fill their schedules with commitments to others but leave no space for themselves. Whether it's work responsibilities, family obligations, or social events, they're always available for everyone else but never take the time to relax, reflect, or focus on their own goals. This needs to change. Make it a priority to dedicate time to things that bring you joy and peace, whether that's reading, exercising, meditating, or simply spending quiet moments alone. Another important step is learning to say no without feeling bad about it. Many overly friendly people struggle with this because they don't want to disappoint others. But the reality is, you are not responsible for making everyone happy. If saying yes to someone else means sacrificing your own well-being, that is not kindness, that is self-neglect. You have every right to decline invitations, turn down extra work, and refuse favors when they interfere with your own priorities. The more you practice saying no, the easier it will become. Prioritizing yourself also means recognizing and eliminating toxic relationships. Some people will take and take without ever giving back. They will drain your energy, use your kindness, and make you feel guilty for not always being available to them. If you notice that certain people make you feel exhausted rather than supported, it's time to set boundaries or even walk away. Surround yourself with people who respect your time and appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. In addition, you must also learn to stop feeling guilty for putting your own needs first. Guilt often comes from years of conditioning, being taught that a good person is always selfless and always puts others first. But here's the truth, you can still be a good person while prioritizing yourself, you can still help others, be kind, and show compassion while ensuring that you are not neglecting your own needs. In fact, when you take care of yourself first, you have more energy, patience, and emotional strength to give to others in a healthy way. Another crucial aspect of self-prioritization is focusing on your own goals and dreams. Too often, overly friendly people put their aspirations on hold because they are too busy helping others achieve theirs. While it is great to support loved ones, it should never come at the cost of your own progress. Your dreams matter, your goals deserve attention. Start investing in yourself, whether that means furthering your education, developing new skills, or pursuing personal projects. Finally, remember that prioritizing yourself does not mean cutting off everyone else. It simply means finding balance. There is a time to be there for others and a time to be there for yourself. The key is to ensure that you are not constantly sacrificing your happiness, peace, and well-being for the sake of others. The moment you start valuing yourself, others will begin to value you more too. One of the biggest struggles for people who are too friendly is that they allow their emotions to be dictated by others. They feel happy when others approve of them and feel anxious or guilty when someone is upset with them. Their mood, confidence, and sense of self-worth are often tied to how others treat them or respond to them. This kind of emotional dependence is exhausting and unhealthy because it gives other people far too much power over your mental and emotional well-being. When you let others control your emotions, you become highly sensitive to their reactions. You may find yourself constantly overanalyzing conversations, wondering if you said something wrong, or worrying about whether someone is mad at you. If someone is distant or seems unhappy, you immediately assume it's because of you. This kind of thinking creates unnecessary stress and anxiety, making you feel like you must always be on guard, constantly adjusting your behavior to keep others happy. The truth is, you are not responsible for how other people feel. Everyone has their own thoughts, emotions, and personal struggles that have nothing to do with you. Sometimes people are upset because of their own issues, and it has nothing to do with anything you said or did. Learning to separate yourself from their emotions is one of the most freeing things you can do. Another issue that arises when you let others control your emotions is that you become easily manipulated. Some people know exactly how to use guilt, disappointment, or passive-aggressive behavior to get what they want from you. If they know that you hate upsetting people, they will use that against you, making you feel bad whenever you try to set boundaries or say no. They might say things like, "Wow, I thought we were closer than that. I guess I can't count on you anymore. You've changed. You used to be so nice." These statements are designed to make you feel guilty so that you give in to their demands. When you allow guilt or fear of disappointing others to control your decisions, you are not truly living for yourself, you are living for them. The more you allow this, the more people will continue to take advantage of you. To stop letting others control your emotions, you need to build emotional independence. This means recognizing that your happiness and self-worth come from within, not from how others react to you. It means learning to accept that not everyone will always like you, and that's okay. It means developing the confidence to stand by your decisions, even if they upset others. One way to start taking control of your emotions is by practicing emotional detachment. This does not mean becoming cold or uncaring, it means understanding that you can acknowledge other people's emotions without letting them dictate your own. For example, if someone is upset because you didn't do what they wanted, you can recognize their feelings without feeling guilty or responsible for fixing them. You can say, I understand that you're upset, but this is what's best for me. Another important step is developing self-awareness. Pay attention to how often you let others' moods affect you. Do you feel anxious when someone doesn't text back right away? Do you immediately assume you did something wrong when someone is quiet? These are signs that you are placing too much importance on other people's reactions. When you notice these patterns, remind yourself, their emotions are not my responsibility. Setting emotional boundaries is also crucial. This means deciding that you will not allow yourself to feel guilty, anxious or stressed over things that are outside of your control. If someone is unhappy with the decision you made, that is their emotion to deal with, not yours. You cannot control how people feel, and it is not your job to make everyone happy. Lastly, focus on building self-confidence and inner strength. The more secure you are in yourself, the less you will depend on others for validation. Work on developing a strong mindset where your happiness comes from your own choices, values and accomplishments, rather than from how others respond to you. When you take control of your emotions, you take control of your life.